Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to more Final Fantasy XIV. So while we're waiting to get logged into the world, a couple things that I want to go over real quick. Number one, if you check the schedule for next week here on Twitch, you will see that I've put in the times for the new schedules. I'm going to be trying an evening stream schedule. We'll see how it works out. But it'll be starting at 6 p.m. Central Time, my time. Again, Twitch will let you know what time that is in your time zone. If you can't make the streams, I apologize for that, but you can always catch my past VODs on YouTube, and you can watch them here on Twitch as well. I tend to find YouTube better because Twitch doesn't compress the video. You get a lot of lag and buffering happening with it. But, yeah, that's about it. So we're going to start there. I'm also going to start working on a couple of other games. We're not going to be doing 14 continuously. I do want to start playing through some of the older Final Fantasy games. I'm not sure if we'll start that next week or if we'll start it later on. There's also a couple of other games that I've picked up that I want to give it a look at. So we will be starting to work on those. I haven't figured out what days we're going to do stuff, but once I do have a day that we're going to be doing, like, we're going to do like Stray on Tuesdays, or Final Fantasy on Wednesdays, or whatever. It'll be the same day every week. So if you really want to watch this game, tune in on that day. It'll be the game that we're playing. Anyway, we're going to continue on with these quests, because I want to get through this and get into the next section of the game. This is boring. I'm also not really sure where the line is. If there's I'm assuming there's a title screen when you get into the new content. I hope there's a title screen. I would like for there to be a title screen. This game does like title screens. Yeah, this place is empty. I don't know why it does that sometimes, where the NPCs just don't want to load in. Alright. Relieved to see you healthy and hale. Latest news from Ul'dah was most disturbing. Yeah, there's pollution going on. Other signs need to be present. Ready to begin with some of them now. Thank you for responding to my call with such haste. Well, most of them are just standing out in the other room, so. And this guy's still here. I should not have summoned you were it not urgent. To business, then. I have received some most disturbing news from the Order of the Twin Adder. They have reason to believe the Sylphs may have called forth their revered guardian, the primal Ramua? Sorry, may have, then it is not certain. The Elder Seedseer informs us that the elementals themselves murmur of the Lord of Levin's return to the forest. The Sylphlands, however, display no signs of undue commotion. Forgive me, but that fact need not contradict the elemental's testimony. Unlike his more bellicose compeers, Gadua and so on, Rama be Rama, wouldn't it? Reputed only to act only in the defense of his children. Imagine he would soon make his presence known if any were foolish enough to directly endanger the sylphs or their territory. The abruptness of this development concerns me. Were we not keeping a close watch on the touched ones and their movements? Ramu? Ramu. That was close. Also, good morning. Preparation for a summoning ritual were indeed underway. 'Twould surely not have escaped your notice. Oh, it didn't. I was pretty sure it was going to happen, just not this soon. I beg your pardon? You foresaw this eventuality and did not to prevent it? Yeah, you should have reported things. You know the sylphs feel about people poking around their territory. Already summoned Ramu once right after the calamity. That was because the Garlands came traipsing through the forest. As long as Castro Morin stands, the sylphs cannot be blamed for wishing to have their guardian deity on hand. Actions of forest folk are inevitable and unavoidable. Although, I mean, if their primal truly does only act in defense and not actively aggressively, then it's not one that you really need to worry about. Although, I suppose what counts as defense gets up in the air. Maintaining observation would have remained the best policy had it not been for the sudden influx of strangers into Black Shroud. That, alas, we did not foresee. By all accounts, recent violence in Ul'dah drove a number of refugees to seek safety under the concealing canopy of the trees. That's going to cause problems. Sylphs perceive this panicked migration as yet another invasion and quickened their efforts to summon their god. I'm put in mind of Titan and the Kobolds once again as the affairs of men which have paved the way for a primal's coming. Rain will still drain ether from the world, so it's a problem regardless. Only if you care about ether. No, I know. It's an issue. One cannot help but wonder what manner of place Azuria would be without the civilizing influence of mankind. Be that as it may, this regrettable development does afford us a unique opportunity. Feelings of the sylphs of little solace. One succeeded in preventing an untimely conflict with Gridania. Wonder, might one who has treated with the sylphs so fruitfully in the past not achieve similar success with their patron deity? If Ramu can be convinced of our intentions, it may be the first step to breaking the cycle of primal summoning. Fond hope, were such a thing possible, we would not have been at war with the beastmen since time immemorial. Maybe this time we can. That being said, this one is the most level-headed of the lot. It is kind of what it sounds like. I mean, they're talking about trying to talk to Ramu rather than just straight up killing it. Continue the discussion. First need to consult the nations most affected. Elder Seed Seer has requested your personal involvement. Pay report to Commander Helix. The adders necessary to be able to. Yeah. Yeah, they're talking about trying to talk to the... Instead of just being like, nah, we're just murder. Why are you here? Don't you have somewhere else to go? Straight up your nose. Alright, anyway. I still have my home set there. Bye. Ah, yes, the joy of loading screens. What do you want? Oh, care about that. Arrival most anticipated. Appearance of a primal has ever cause for alarm and unease. Men stood ready for any eventuality. I know of none more qualified than you to snuff out this threat. Indeed, I would have you do so without delay. The Elder Seed Seer, however, would speak with you first, with the opinion that your diplomatic rather than martial skills may better serve our cause. Will leave further explanation to our learned leader. Make your way to the altar. Conjure in attendance will meet. Oh yeah, can you just have the PvP thing? Yeah, have the PvP thing. Boing. Aren't you cold? It's raining. Oh, and for anybody who's wondering, I have still been unlocking and upgrading and leveling classes. This is where I'm at right now. I've still got I have like there's some that I just don't have access to because I don't have the right expansions for them. That will probably solve at some point, I imagine.
Scions of the Seventh Dawn, on behalf of the people of Gridania, I bid you welcome. Your presence is of great comfort to us all in these days of uncertainty. I summoned you here to share tidings of a most urgent nature. But a short while ago, the great elemental spoke, and his voice was clarion in its intensity. Ramuh is returned unto the forest.
Yeah, Ramuh.
Scarce had his words ceased to echo in mine ears when we were visited by an emissary from Little Solace.
Voice sounds different.
Our guest informs us that the Sylphs too have sensed the presence of the Lord of Levin.
Or is that just me?
Though his exact whereabouts remain unknown, we may safely assume that the Primal was summoned within the heart of the Sylphlands. Unlike the other Primals you have encountered, Lord Ramuh is no raging avatar of destruction. He is revered as much for his wisdom as his strength, serving as both arbiter and guardian to his children. Given that we and the Sylphs found a way to share the Twelveswood, it is my hope that this sagely immortal will be amenable to reason, and that conflict may be avoided. Blessed as you are with the power of the Echo, you are one of the few among us who may commune with a primal without fear of influence. I would ask, therefore, that you represent us in this most delicate of negotiations. The Twelveswood has suffered enough. Upon this, we and the Sylphs, and I would venture Lord Ramuh himself, are in perfect accord. Let us not endanger our shared home by engaging in unnecessary hostilities. Dear friend, I beseech you, safeguard the peace which exists between our peoples. You have my thanks.
I guess it is a question.
Little Solace, then. A member of the Order of the Twin Adder awaits you there. He will advise you on how to find the Lord of Levin.
I guess.
An ill wind blows through the
God, she just
forest.
keeps going, doesn't she?
Yet, it is not only the Twelveswood that flinches at its coming. All the lands of Eorzea shiver in dread
Morning.
anticipation.
How's life going? It's going. I'm awake. Ah. It's just water today. Hey, she finally stopped talking. Anyway, my thought was, we don't really know what it is that primals actually want. Like, we know that they, like, you know, you feed them crystals and stuff, and then they do mischief, but beyond that, we don't really have a, like, what goals do they have? What objectives do they have? What reasons for being here, other than, I guess, just consuming the ether? And it's possible that is what they want. Figure it out, or we won't. Maybe we'll just murder them all. Alright, Soldier expects you. Understand to go to treat with the primal Ramu himself, and not an unenviable task, but one for which I have no doubt you are well suited. Been told your fellow Scions are conducting an investigation of the area as we speak. Might ascertain the location where Lord of Levin might be found. Bide here until they return with their findings. Or whatever. Do I want assistance in any quests? I haven't really needed too much help, other than, I mean, unless you're talking about like boss fights and stuff, which if you're around and you wanna jump in and help, it's always welcome. Just let me know when we get close, and I'll send you the invites and everything. Told that a messenger would be sent as soon as your fellow Scions finish their investigation. Do not imagine it will be much longer. When returns with good timing. Finished searching, wisely identified precise location where the touched one summoned. Good. Goals based on what we understand is that they want ether worshippers and whatever their worshippers want. Sounds. Timing is impeccable, my fluttery friend. Might you be so kind as to escort the good woman to her fellow Scions? Yeah, I'm on Crystal Goblins. Hey, because the boss bar is there. All the way up in there. Gonna have to transfer to Goblin. I mean, I don't think you have to transfer permanently. Because you can do the cross realm, cross world, whatever they call it. Stuff. Venture deep within the Sylph lands. Must proceed carefully and keep an eye out for touched ones. Political stuff going on. The worshippers want new keeps it moved in off their land. Well, yeah. Which makes sense, because you wouldn't want, you know, a bunch of hostility and stuff. Being able to just fly through here makes this so much easier to navigate. Most sorry, can go no further. Draw too close to Lord Ramu. This one may turn mean and nasty like touched ones. I'll say farewell for now. Fine wise one's not far from here. To the south, go in safety. We just came from the south. But we were dealing with another one of the confounded self-tricksters. With them wreaking havoc in their skin-changing magics, it's a wonder I was able to finish taking my measurements. Quite the ordeal. Look, when the one impersonating you suddenly showed up. Apologies, not like me to ramble. At any rate, as I was saying, I finished measuring etheric activity in the area. Pleased to say I've reached an indisputable conclusion, to wit, that Ramu was called forth in the vicinity of the Sylph's Aerite, Lord of Levin awaits. The Sylphs have one? Investigate the area around the Beastman Aetherite. Oh, it's over here. And obviously the NPCs must do something similar too, because they don't get attacked by everything along the way. Where am I supposed to come in from? Yeah, you can just temporarily go. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that you can't do while you're doing it, but...
Thine order betrays thee, servant of hiding.
That is quite the beard.
Thou art the bringer of light, bane of Ifrit, Titan, Garuda, and Leviathan.
And the Mughal king. I guess he doesn't warrant.
Ramu, guardian of the children of the forest. Thou tramplest upon sacred soil, bringer of light. By what right doth man intrude in this sanctuary of the sylphs?
Not man, and we're looking for you.
The Gridanians proffer peace? Their words are born of delusion, thine offer an insult. Thou speakest of harmony, yet carest naught for my children's desires. They did but wish to dwell beneath these boughs in solitude. Yet even that was too much to ask of man.
Well, you can
Thus
kill
they
them.
turn to me for succor. The sentence I pronounce upon thy kind is just.
You can kill those Magitech wielding assholes. We don't care about them. Leave everybody else alone.
Redanian or Garlean, it matters not. The good intent
That is
of
a
one
ridiculous build.
excuseth
Weird.
not the misdeeds of the other. Thy conflicts have brought naught but anguish and misery unto the forest. All blame doth lie with the darkness that resideth in the breast of man. Whence sprung this calamitous seed? In the beginning no such duality existed. Were light and dark given form when man was born? It would explain much. Not least why strife and sorrow follow ever in thy wake. Thou canst not deny the urgings of thine own nature. Knowing that thy mere presence here portendeth tragedy, wilt thou persist in this pretense of peacemaking?
Well, apparently not if you're not willing to listen.
Thou bearest the crystal which I bestowed upon thy wayward charges. The they should entrust so precious a gift to thee.
Oh, that's right. We got given that
Thus
crystal at
then
one
must
point.
depart from thy kin. Thou art the bringer of light, aye, but there is something more in thee. Very well. I shall consider thy proposal, shouldst thou survive my trial.
Your beard is in the...
Thou wouldst champion the cause of harmony. I must have proof that thou art fit to play the role. Wither mine ire, and prove to me thereby that thou hast strength enough to stay the darkness which threateneth to consume thee.
He's gonna attack us anyway, isn't he?
Yet if thou shouldst be found wanting, know that all men shall perish in the storm of my judgment. Come to me, bringer of light.
Yep.
I shall await thee on the field of battle.
Urianger, it is rare indeed to find you so far from a tome.
The Lord of Levin himself. Never till this day had I looked upon his visage, save in painted renderings made faint by time. Ever shall this scene remain etched in my mind's eye. Beg pardon, my lady.
You're weird.
I must beg thine aid on a point of research. If thou art resolved to face Lord Ramuh, I would ask thy leave to observe the event.
I don't care. Striking tree now accessible. It's an odd duck. Yeah, he's a very weird one. Okay, so I'm guessing trial. Yep. And this is a full one. Yes, indeed it is. 2 tanks, 2 healers, 4 DPS. Okay. Need to be. That's not the button I want to push. We don't need to really be here for this. Hop in a voice call? Doesn't bother me any, but I won't be able to hear you. I don't have Discord running on any of my computers right now, and it's a bit of a pain in the butt to get it set up. Yeah, you just do visit another world. Look at this. Data center. Okay, so you do have to be within the same data center. Three companies cannot be formed or joined. Information cannot be viewed. Credits cannot be earned. Link shells cannot be used. I don't know what a link shell is. Retainers cannot be summoned, hired, or released. Items cannot be sold, but can be purchased. Land and apartments cannot be purchased. Residence sharing is unavailable. Ceremony of eternal bonding is unavailable. Lord of Vermin tournaments cannot be entered. Triple Triad tournaments cannot be entered. Pot tickets cannot be purchased. Moogle delivery service is unavailable. Oh, maybe that's why all the NPCs have to have adventurers shuttle all their stuff around. If they can't, if you can't use the Moogle service when you're not in your own homeworld. Deep Dungeon results will not be saved. Friendship Circlet and Eternal Bonding teleportation is available only if both parties are on the same world. Legendary and unspelled gathering nodes are inaccessible. Huh. and I'm on Goblin. Yeah, I use a because Final Fantasy kind of bogs my system down too much. I started using a 2 PC stream, so I've actually got the stream going on my laptop, which you can sometimes, yeah, you can kind of see it right here. And then it's all just being captured. So the microphone is plugged into the laptop. So I have to get Discord running on the laptop, and I don't have it running there, so every single time I go to launch it, there's updates. And it takes bloody forever to get it up and running. Not to say that we can't do it, it would just take forever, and I'd rather do it off before stream rather than trying to do it during. White Mage, yep. Yeah. Well, I've been primarying White Mage. Like I said, I've been working. I've been getting all the other classes that I have access to up to 50, just to try them out. The White Mage is the one that I've been actually focusing on. I don't enjoy Paladin. But you know, Warrior's fun. But Paladin's kind of meh. Red or gun? Which one you want? It doesn't bother to me. Doesn't matter to me. And I mean, if we're gonna do this guy, it's gonna be, you know, we're gonna need 2 tanks and 2 healers and a truckload of DPS anyway, so I don't think it matters. Why are we making that? Oh. I do have to say I love the glamour system, because this is kind of an ugly staff. But because of the glamour system, I can put this fun one on it. Just makes me laugh. Who? Oh, right. Character name. Kira Inari. Here you go. Yes. Aha. All right, let me start this up. And hopefully we won't have to wait too long. Always the downside of these. we wait. All right, while we're waiting, I'm gonna go use the restroom. Never mind. DPS isn't much worse than the wait times. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's you join up as DPS. You queue as DPS and then you go do hunting logs. Tank and healer, you can pretty much just queue and stand there and wait a little bit. Actually, a lot of times when you just queue as healer, it's pretty much instant. As soon as you hit the button, good to go. Depending on what it is that you're trying to do. This is quite the, yeah, I've actually found that tank queues are a little bit longer. Ow! I don't remember what buttons do what. Oh, okay, I see what's going on. Well, that's gonna hurt. You can't move. These are always such chaos. See, sometimes they follow you, and sometimes they don't. Pretty chaotic. Cool.
I
So-
have taken thy measure, bringer of light.
The thing that I've noticed with all of those is that they're just absolute chaos.
And I judge thee a worthy champion. The task
Look at the
of
roulettes and what the
saving
adventure
sin
need is.
that hath
Yeah.
taken root in man's heart is thine. Shrink not from employing thy strength in service to the forest and the wider realm beyond. Like hungering shadows do the enemies of harmony gather, and meekness will but feed them.
I almost died. Really? I didn't think I took that much damage. Or is there some mechanic that I'm just not aware of?
Man is to be delivered from the dark. It shall be by thy guiding light alone. Stray not from the path, for if thou dost, thy people shall be truly lost.
Well, thank you for that then.
Thou hast slain the Lord of Levin. A regrettable act, but a necessary one. In witnessing thy struggle, a truth hath been revealed unto me. If I mistake not, it may yet prove a chink in the eternal armor of the Ascians. But let us conclude our present business. I shall expound upon my findings at the Rising Stones anon.
It is kind of the problem with a lot of these, is especially ones where players, it's so early in the game and players know it so well that they don't bother to, oh, it just teleports you back here, that they don't bother to tell you what's going on. Like, nobody bothers to say, like, oh yeah, by the way, watch out for this, or do this, or anything like that. Seeing this goes super wrong way too much in the higher ones. I believe it. Out of here. Good. Oh, that's good. I'm like I mean that's part of the reason why I like playing a healer is because you can just focus on you know, keeping people's health up and then just not standing in shit on the ground. And then everything else kind of takes care of itself. Ramu received your visit. He's dead. Challenged you to a test of arms. It is well then that you have some experience in such matters. The peoples would be relieved to hear that the Lord of Levin has accepted you as the forest champion of peace. Performed a monumental duty this day. Elder seats here must be informed at once. Has a charge counter. If you're not energized right, you can take a lot of damage. Oh, I didn't even notice a counter. Care of experiences firsthand. Return. Make for Lotus stand. Yep. Trials are now you can roll the copter through them, but later on, since you're expected to know more, they're much less forgiving. Okay. Oh wait, where am I going? Yeah, I mean, if we start doing these kind of stuff in earnest, then I'll look up like what the actual mechanics and stuff all are. But for right now, I'm not. Again, one of the reasons why I kind of prefer playing healer classes rather than DPS or tank. 'Cause a lot of times then you really need to know what the mechanics all are.
You are returned to us, dear friend, and none the worse for bearing the heavy burden which I did press upon you. Most glad am I of this.
Kill it in a minute with your overlevel character. Yeah, that seems to be pretty
I am
common.
informed that your efforts to negotiate a peace with Lord Ramuh ended in conflict. Pray tell me, what befell?
I mean, peace, because he's dead now.
Ramuh made trial of you? I fear there is truth to his claim. It is the darkness within us that attracts the darkness without. It cannot be denied that misfortune follows man. For evidence, one need only look to the conflict brewing in Carteneau, or to the rising flood of refugees. Our shared
Automod,
struggle
you
against
gotta
the Empire
relax.
should have served to seal our union. Yet the ties which bind the alliance strain under the weight of gross self-interest. As the scars of the calamity begin to fade, so too does our sense of common purpose. Yet now is scarce the time to forget our shared responsibility. If this new-sprung realm is to survive beyond its infancy, it must needs be nurtured by all. Eorzea must be as one. Yet I fear that dream is still far off.
Closer every day.
On behalf of the people of Gridania and the elementals both, I thank you for all that you and your fellow scions have done. Full oft have I been compelled to look to you for aid of late, and offered all too little in return. As leader of this nation, I shall endeavor to prove a more worthy ally to your cause henceforth.
They partied for the dungeons, just chill here though.
Lord Ramuh has departed, yet the keening of this ill wind grows no less insistent.
I don't know if we'll
Voices of
get
the
to another one.
forest, pray speak and I shall listen. What unseen evil begets this unease in my heart?
Okay, I still gotta use the restroom, so I will be right back. Back. Self-arranged again. There we go. Ends another daunting mission. I'd hoped Lord Ramu could be persuaded with words alone, but nonetheless, I can only admire the adroitness with which you responded to the Primal's sudden challenge. I really feel like when playing this game, I really feel like I needed the Thoris open nearby, because they like to use $5 words. And it's like, I have no idea what this word means. Please the outcome, gather back the Rising Stone, power lessons of the day. I would assume so, because that is where the quest objective. Why do we? Wait, what word? Which the whichever one I butchered most recently. That's not a big deal. It's just something that I've noticed that Square Enix really loves to use. Like, instead of just using the simple word, they like to use, you know, ridiculous word. Died so many times to it because the tanks wouldn't avoid the one. Oh, you're talking about a different dungeon. Yeah, that's always fun, right? When the tank is just like, nah, I'm gonna stand right here and screw everything else. Okay, well there's a effect that you need to move away from. No, not moving. Stay put. Hand off the movement keys. News of my own. Discoveries must take precedence upon witnessing your defeat of Lord of Levin. Learned companion was struck. Found insight regarding the nature of the Ascian's immortality. Assemble and discuss his observations together.
If everyone is ready, let us begin. Urianger, the floor is yours.
Urianger? How do you get that? Whatever.
As all here assembled now know, in its final hours as our Order's headquarters, the Waking Sands did play host to a most unexpected visitor. I speak of the Ascian clad in white, Elidibus. Unwelcome though his presence was, his words that day did serve to confirm a truth long suspected, that the Ascians are eternal beings, to whom physical destruction is as a temporary inconvenience.
In the intervening time, Urianger and I have striven to discover a means by which the Ascians might more permanently be slain.
And 'tis my belief that we have found the thread that will allow us to unravel the twisted skein of their existence.
Or trials where the tanks have to use their level 3 limit break or everyone dies. Oh, jeez.
Most recent manifestation, the Sahagin elder who summoned him was observed to undergo some manner of ascension. The etheric readings taken by Y'shtola at the time of this transfiguration have proven most enlightening.
The disruption to the flow of ether was sudden and dramatic. So tangible was the agitation, I scarce had need of my goggles.
The significance of Y'shtola's readings might better be understood in the context of mine own, taken at the instant of the Lord of Levin's demise. Unlike the Primal, the Sahagin was not subject to etheric dissipation.
Before discussing our new discoveries, it may benefit us all to recall what we know of etheric behavior.
I feel like they're getting to something, but I don't think I know enough about how the world works to know what it is that they're hinting at. Probably what she's going to explain right here.
Let us begin at what some might call the end. When we who dwell in the material realm die, our spirits dissolve into the flow of ether and are returned to the ethereal realm. In turn, the restless energy which suffuses that plane streams back into our world, giving rise to new life.
'Tis as the heavens did decree, the way of all mortal souls. Twixt this world and the next do the ethereal currents swirl, bearing the very essence of life. Thus doth the
Okay, so it's a
cycle of
reincarnation
birth, death,
type
and rebirth
universe.
continue unabated.
Primals behave somewhat differently. In order to manifest and then maintain a physical presence in this realm, they must consume vast quantities of ether, most often in the form of crystals. Though they may seem to live, their flesh is but ether given shape.
So primals are literally soul eaters.
Thus, a defeated primal leaves behind no broken corpse. Rather, the essence of its form seeps back into the land whence it came, and the energy of its shattered spirit is called back to the ethereal realm.
And there it waiteth, till next the prayers of the faithful do draw it forth from the sea of ether, to take their offering of crystals and make for itself a new body.
Which brings us on to the third group, the so-called immortals. They exist in a manner all their own.
I think I've seen anything that has a level 3.
Even as the Sahagin Elder fell to the Admiral's musket shot, I witnessed the release of an ethereal cloud, which immediately took possession of a nearby minion.
A soul that dissipateth not upon the death of the flesh.
The secret of life everlasting, and in the claws of a Sahagin no less. But I wonder, what would happen to one of these obstinate spirits should there be no suitable host for it to claim?
If mortal death entails a return to the ethereal realm, it seems doubtful that the soul of an immortal would venture there.
Nay, it merely withdraweth a distance, unto the shore of the ethereal sea, perchance, but no further.
Yes, it exists in neither this realm nor the next, abiding instead in the space that lies between them. The Ascians took control of Thancred by means of a Crystal of Darkness, an artifact which, if our theories are correct, serves as a gateway to the place I have just described.
Almost add a fun thing?
I was hoping people had forgotten about that.
I am sorry, my friend.
For a mercy, the weary road of our research hath brought us unto an answer.
The Sahagin ascended to an immortal state, but he did not possess a crystal of darkness through which to flee this realm. Thus was he consumed by Leviathan.
Big party dungeon?
If we could entrap the spirits of defeated
Oh, there's
Ascians in like manner,
Dungeons that are
thereby
those
deny
that are
them
full parties?
resurrection,
That's crazy. Or you could feed Ascians to
Therein lieth
primals.
the path to victory. Thou art most perceptive, my lady. Only when we have trapped the bodiless soul within an ethereal prison can we hope to defeat its unnatural constancy. Thus might even an eternal paragon be consigned to oblivion.
These feats are, of course, far easier said than done. At present, we lack a viable means to entrap and extinguish an Ascian soul. Yet, I believe it to be possible. The pieces of the puzzle lie before us. We have but to put them together.
I don't remember what it's called, but it's a lot of people. Oh, we'll get there eventually.
I will depart at once to convene with the sages of Sharlayan. Together shall we divine the steps by which our goals may be achieved.
I have the utmost faith in you, Archon.
Beg pardon, antecedent, but I would raise one final matter. Even now, a Sharlayan survey party seeketh to ascertain the fate of the students of Baldesion. Their findings shall soon be known to us. Though you harbor feelings of dread, I bid you, surrender not to sorrow, but abide instead in hopeful prayer.
I shall, Archon. Thank you.
I mean, they're not answering anything, and apparently they've all disappeared. The whole island disappeared. So unless they pulled a, what's that? The Sigix from Elder Scrolls. Okay, the Lord of Levin has returned to the Ether, as was Leviathan before him. I wonder why these guys are trying to summon them. Ramuh's acquiescence was most intriguing. Inferno, Vortex, Craig, Whirl, and Levin all have now been humbled by the Bringer of Light. Limitless potential of man, Hydian's servant grows mightier by the day. Yeah, there's the guy in white, too. Prospers at great cost to her mistress, whose strength is all too finite. 7 times have the masses survived the rejoining, but their souls are grown weak and wane. Called Alliance Raids, where you have 3 parties of 8 people consisting of 1 tank, 2 healers, and 5 DPS. Really? That's a weird number. Sure it's not 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 4 DPS? Even as it enumerates the ardor empowers our master, all that remains is to nurture the strength of the gifted to forge the final key. Oh, that's right. There's like a one true god that they're trying to resurrect. Or call into the material world or something. Divine seeds, wherever want to quicken in Azoria's fertile soil, we need only lead men to the field, and by their eager hands shall a new deity arise. That which was shattered shall be made anew, and the one true God shall come again. Oh, it is that? That's okay. I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm just saying that that's kind of an odd breakdown. I don't think I've ever seen anything break down like that. All right, what do we get? Oh, yeah. A lot of the stuff that I don't really use for anything because I don't have stuff with slots in it. All right, now the matter of Ramuh has for the present been put to rest. There's something I would show you. I'm going to stare really intently at it. Letter of thanks signed by the leaders of the Azorian Alliance acknowledging the Scion's tireless service to the realm. Cool. Does break from the standard? Yeah. It mentions in particular the names of all the defeated primals. Ifrit, Titan, Gardua, yeah. The Moogle, Leviathan, and now Ramuh. Needless to say, there is only one among our number to have faced them all. And though these words of gratitude were addressed to our order as a whole, I feel they were meant for you above all others. I too must offer my heartfelt thanks for all that you have done in the course of your duties. You have never once failed to answer my call to arms. True hero, safer for your presence. I mean, we're just getting started. Like, this is literally the original. We still got how many expansions after this? Do not misunderstand me. I said safer, not safe. I know only too well that we can ill afford to lower our guard. Ascians may be relied upon to sow chaos in this realm until such time as they are forced to stop. Even without their encouragement, you may be assured that man would foment strife on his own, and that is to say nothing of the beast tribes. Unless we learn to live in harmony, the primals too will return to plague us again and again and again and again and again. 4 expansions, plus all the in-between expansion stuff. Yet despite all of this, your deeds serve to inspire the people, to give them hope for a better tomorrow, and there is no greater gift. That we have the courage to strive for what might otherwise seem an impossible peace, we owe in no spar. Oh, geez, I don't know why. Right in the middle of the monologue. No small part to the dangers you have faced on our behalf of the people. You have won over to our cause in so doing. List of enemies has been ever long, but think of the allies with whom we are now blessed. That is the curse of the player character. Sylphs of little solace who wish naught of conflict. Alamigdans and the Domans who stand with us, determined to halt the dread march of the Empire. Patch quests, yeah. Many unsung individuals who have gathered here in Revenant's Toll, honest men and women who seek to employ their skills for the good of all. Of course, when speaking of our greatest allies, we must not forget those closest to us, by which I mean our fellow scions. Many and varied talents, orders uniquely equipped to combat the far-reaching corruption of the Ascians, and combat it we shall. This is really getting boring. Enthusiasm is truly heartwarming. Embarrassing wealth of allies. Trust will not inconvenience you unduly if I absent myself for a time. Troubles in Ulda no longer require your attention. Rumblings of discontent, but the air of simmering violence is largely dissipated. Tis to report such that I stand before you now. That and to speak with you concerning the new organization we discussed. Message for you. Call the refugee girl, the one whose parents were missing. They're found unharmed. Oh, that's good. Pass on her thanks to you. Understand you made the effort to remember the poor girl's name. Look forward to reading all about her in your report. Hope you love. Away from Revenant Soul for some time, I believe. I suggest you put the affairs of the realm to one side for the moment. Take the opportunity to reacquaint yourself with the town. Which reminds me, one of the Doman children recently inquired as to your whereabouts. Yozen was his name. Believe he has some small matter he wishes to share with you. Why not oblige him with a visit? I guess. A lot of this stuff really feels like padding. Filler. Fight off fighting primals. Battle. Oh jeez, I'm running so much. We all want to be heroes too, so we finally formed our very own Dorman Adventurers Guild to protect all the Domans. And no. Yeah, it kind of is. They want me to show them how I fought the primals. Okay, well I stood over here and I just stared very intently at everyone's health bar. This is so boring. Oh my god. What? Why do you want to fight me? I don't... Even the character doesn't look entirely sure about this. Why? Okay, meet Harry Boulder to the east of Revenant's Toll. Hey, there's actually sunshine here. I think I've been here when there was sun out. There he is. Got to do your own damage as a healer too. As long as people aren't constantly taking damage, yeah. Although that's a good one for Scholar's a good one for that, because then you can oh, I can't be in a party for this. Good one to do as Scholar, because then you can let your pet do all the healing and you can sit there and do damage. Certainly wish to fight her alone. What better way to test my mettle? Here, the contest will end too swiftly. I shall add my spells. Oh, gee. Seriously? This is going to end up into like an 8-on-1, isn't it? Heard about the sparring match, told everyone I could find, thought you could use a crowd to cheer you on. Still more to come. Oh my god. Why? Just dumb. Why? You barely do any damage anyway. Keep your dots up as a healer while focusing on health bars. While like Astra have AoE. Oh, the astrologer has a AoE? I don't think I have access to that one yet. Yeah. Do not have access to that one yet. Ow. Can I not move? Sage, is he healing more if you do more damage? Yeah, the only two healing classes that I have are White Mage and Scholar. Because I don't have any of the expansions, just the Realm Reborn and Heaven's Word, which you get as a package deal. Alright, are you done being invincible yet? There we go. That's pretty much why I've been going through the other classes, though, just to get, you know, get an idea of how they play and stuff like that, which is one thing that I like with this. You have an oh yeah, White Mage does have an AoE, the holy spell. It's got a stun attached to it too, I think. But you don't get it until really late, so I always forget about it. Can we get through this, please? I'm bored. Actually, we first met on a train ride. Carriage ride. 45, you better not forget about it. Turns into Glared, the most broken AoE spell in the game. Well, I'm sure I'll remember it as I get deeper and deeper into the game. What I mean is that I a lot of times will do like the leveling, and you get your level gets the leveling roulette, and your level gets lowered, and you lose access to higher level spells. And since you don't get it until 45, it's you know, never get to use it. Somebody said something about a bunch of skills getting redone pretty soon. Oh. Right there. Yeah. Level 45. Yeah, and it has a stun effect too, which can be handy. Oops, I went the wrong way. Eyes. Blood Lily? Oh, later. Later stuff. Don't spoilers. That's fine. Not really that concerned about like mechanics spoilers. It's mostly story spoilers. I really don't want. Propose the formation of a new organization. You really like making organizations, don't you? Spread over old ground, first speak of the grand plan. Advents of the seventh astral era. The leaders of the three nations have been deliberating over an accord that seeks to bring the disparate forces of Azuria together into a single entity. Realm-wide grand company, if you will. The military might of such an institution would be drawn from every corner of the land and directed against threats that no single nation could hope to overcome alone. What you're looking for is some kind of a united like nations type of a thing. Purpose of the hypothetical organization is undisputed. The logistics of its formation have become the source of endless debate. Oh, the politicians will never agree on anything. The longer the discussions continue, the more I sense the imperatives towards unification draining away. Campaigning for the creation of what might be considered a trial company, much smaller scale than what we hope to eventually achieve, but capable of the same manner of unrestricted operation accorded to the Scions. Hope the successful utilization of such force will lend momentum to the lagging. I don't care. Oh my God, I really don't give a shit. You come up with the most boring ideas. Go do whatever you want. Go. Oh my God. I don't want to go with you. I already met the three leaders. I don't want to go talk to them again. None of them have anything interesting to say. I'm going to be honest. This is the kind of stuff that makes me stop playing games. When it just slogs on like this and it's just so fucking boring. All right. And yes, I'm going to keep complaining about it. My stream, damn it. I will complain about it if I want to. I'm not somebody who really cares about politics, especially politics in fictional worlds. All right. What on earth are you on about now? Yeah, of course. I have to be the one to go out and recruit people. You can't just do it yourself. Well, they show up on here, but there's nobody actually on the bloody map. Oh, because it's on the other level. A couple of times my game group has tried to do like political style games, and they've never gone well because almost inevitably everyone gets bored, and we're just like, nah, we're just gonna hit stuff. I really don't care what you say. Are you coming? Are you join? Cool. Don't join? I don't care. Never play L5R. Interestingly, that was the game that they were trying to play. Well, L5R inspired. It wasn't. It was run in a different system, but it was that. It was that idea. Oh wait, no. No, the L5R. The Legend of the Five Rings game was one that was proposed but never got off the ground. The actual one was a Game of Thrones game, which did work. And it's like, you know, this could be fun because, like, you know, Game of Thrones has a lot of different things you can do with it. But they were like, nah, we're doing both. We're gonna mix both of it together. Where in the hell? We're going to mix both of them together. We're going to do political stuff, and we're going to do combat. I made a character who was just, like, immune to the social stuff, because you can do that. It was funny. The game died before I actually got involved in any of that stuff. Oh, it didn't really make any difference. What in the world is going on here? Told they didn't plan on having expansion yet, so this was just endgame filler. It does kind of seem like that because it doesn't really feel like there's more that they were like. It doesn't feel like it's linking into anything else. It just kind of is like, here's busy work for you to do while we figure out what we're gonna do next. That's not the correct button. I've noticed too, there's a lot of shit where it's like, we're gonna have you run from over here to like this right here, where maybe you run all over the most confusing town in the entire game. I don't suppose, do either of you know how much more of this there is? Not this specifically, but all of the post quests. Because I don't actually know where Heavensward starts. I'm hoping there's a title screen, but who knows? I think there's a thingamajigger. Is there a thingamajigger? Is there a thingamajigger? Ah, it's just. That's a name. You know, it took me forever to figure out what this little welding mask meant. Yeah, here. Recruiting went well. I have no idea because I didn't read any of it. Company of Heroes, successful in task. Don't care. Took 4 to 5 hours to get through it. Gee. I should be getting close then. I think this is the 3rd. Well, we took a break to do the Hildebrand stuff last time. People are so desperate to make money off of this game. Do the commands. Let me run around here and used to take longer. Yeah, I believe it. I imagine being able to fly was probably something that they added later, because that really speeds things up. What in the world is with fireworks? Okay. I'm guessing there's a event or something that's happening I am just unaware of. Yeah, I remember him. Don't remember why I remember him, but I do remember the name. Let's see, we go up here. Oh, actually, we're all up this way. I guess part of the question too is, do you guys want me to keep streaming this post stuff, or do you want me to just push through it off stream, and then we can actually start more with the expansion content? I can probably get this done quicker if I'm not streaming it, to be honest. But you turned yourself into... Apparently they just said, no, just sit here forever. You did both. Oh. I guess the real question is how bored is the audience? Summer Festival event, yes. Flying impacted it for sure, but they also removed a good 20 or so quests. Oh, well, yeah. Taking quests out is definitely going to make it go faster. And now we're going to Ul'dah. I guess that's why they had you meet him at the airship, so you could just take the airship to the next city. Okay. Don't remember which one it is, but I don't really think it matters. Leveling your cooking? Yeah, that's one thing to do. Aha! I was right. I have been neglecting my crafting, to be honest. As you can tell. Yeah, and then you want me to go and try to recruit people here, because who would have thought? It's kind of weird because like this is the kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that you would have players doing at the beginning of your game to get them to learn how to navigate around the city. Why are they doing it now? Some big boy cutscenes before the expansion. Want to see reaction to? Okay, that's fair enough. That's kind of why I was asking, because I don't know what's coming up, if it's just this kind of crap or if there's actual stuff that's interesting. If there's stuff you guys want to see, then I'll keep going. Why are you standing here, little girl? I need Stormblood to be able to figure out what's wrong with you, though. Where am I going? I am going the wrong way. Things people choose to name their characters. Oh, this looks like an alley I'm gonna get mugged in. Do I want cornbread? No, I I am mostly confused by this question. What? She's not gonna join. She's a freaking yeah. Oh, in game. Well, that makes more sense. I mean, I guess I typically forget to even use food items. Okay, and then we go back to the promenade. Boing. Some serious jumps, though. Alright, hidden gems. Found a bunch of idiots. I love the face. I'm not actually reading. I mean, I'm skimming some of these. Don't care. Boring. Oh no, they're gonna crash. Kind of a random scene, right?
Tell me, General, what think you of Alfino's bold endeavor?
You know, I have to say this now, otherwise I'll forget about it. But it's a good thing that they don't do that whole the supplicant's head has to be lower than the ruler's head thing, because you'd have to lay on the ground.
I think it is more than bold, Your Grace. His organization would pave the way for a united Eorzea. Well do I understand his impatience, since facing the common threat of the Ultima weapon, our nations have seemed farther apart, not closer together.
Politicians.
Considering the many problems we face, should we not be glad that someone else is taking the initiative?
Politicians see an opportunity for bickering. Thus they
We
bicker.
have all pledged our cooperation, yet the grumbling continues behind closed doors. Ul'dah is not alone in her duplicity. I myself have doubts as to the good this organization will achieve. With the inclusion of the finest soldiers of the 3 grand companies, it promises to be a fearsome military body. But whom will it serve? Even under the watchful gaze of the Scions, it is not unthinkable that such a force could perpetrate a great wrong.
And that's why the UN doesn't have a
significant proportion of its financial backing
standing military.
the syndicate, that those unprincipled worms might forge this extraordinary gathering of warriors into a private army.
Main reason for food is a 3% boost in XP. The stats aren't that important until endgame.
Scions, Your Grace.
Yeah.
They have spared us no end of trouble at the hands of the primals. If they seek reinforcements, I deem it unwise to deny them. As for their finances, full many gave generously. And though our nobles proffered a sizable sum, their coin did not spill from the pockets of Lolorito and his cronies. And what of the presence of our stalwart adventurer friend in this endeavor? I doubt the warrior of light would betray our cause.
Being very careful not to name or identify the character, the main character, the player character in any way.
Yet I have known people to change. Whether we will or no,
Politicians,
the events
mega
of the
capitalist
age hurl us
politicians,
this
yeah.
way and that, like
Not
a
gonna help
rusty
things
devil
either.
skipping across the sands. Cannot be done about Telechi.
Got plenty of spires. Just check him off one.
I have explored all avenues available to us, Your Grace. But as Ul'dah law now stands, we lack the evidence to convict him of any crime.
This is why I shouldn't be in charge of, of things.
Grounds would only play into his hands.
I don't like you.
He has all but committed treason, and yet we can do nothing?
Eat before any Q. Normally use the food that boosts health or defense.
Then what good our government?
Yeah.
Worth the royal house? How deplorable this mockery of justice!
Did a really good job with the sad animation. Gosh, he...
Have faith, Your Grace. It is not over.
Just getting started, really. Alright. Now we're going back to... What does it do? We're going back here. Why is this map, like, start there instead of here? I guess it centers the map, but... And why have so much extra... I don't know, whatever. I'm sure there's an explanation for it eventually. Do you not know how chairs work? You sit in chairs, not stand on them. He's always standing on chairs. Journey I wish to repeat. Yeah, I didn't want to do it a second time either. Already had to do it once before. Alright. All is in place to begin his trial company. Grateful out of support. Ceremony is set to take place here at the Rising Stones. Cooperating, sealing all the readiness. Recruits himself. New faces arrived and evidence told of late. Okay, yeah, so more busy work. You know when you're queuing again? Yeah, like I said, I don't know how long it's going to take to get to that kind of stuff. There's a lot of this busy work. You. Hands full helping out the new Arm of the Sons. Sold half your cornbread for 35k. Nice. More your burden that concerns me. Trial. Bringing a shipment. Sought to cross over, set upon by brigands. Believe they may have been heretics. Don't think too hard there. You're gonna. House 4 attempts. Collected provision from Camp Dragonhead. Praise the development. Oh, goody. Contradict hopes to lighten your load. Need someone who can bring this into satisfactory conclusion. Favorable relations with Ishgard are far too important to risk half measures. Yeah, there's a town, a nation, I guess you'd call it, that we haven't really done much of anything with. They're up here, but over the wall. You in here? Opening an urgent message. Incidents. Yep. Same thing. level fishing now. Interesting.
The incident with the New Frontier hand? No, you need not elaborate. I have been following their progress with no small amount of interest. Brave men and women all. They do our nation a great service. The existence of a fortified outpost in Mordona will do much to dissuade the Empire from trespassing on Kurthus soil. Right glad am I that you have chosen to lend your support to this endeavor. Never let it be said that House Fortom does not acknowledge the efforts of her allies, or her debts.
Or Tom?
'Twas in the spirit of gratitude that I arranged for sundry supplies to be delivered to Revenant's Toll. That the shipment should chance to be waylaid by heretics is poor fortune indeed. Poor fortune, I say, yet not without precedent. If you would know the truth of it, these incorrigible villains grow more organized with each passing day. This new unity of purpose we attribute to their leader, the Lady Iceheart. But though I have devoted significant resources to the task of identifying this woman, we have yet to learn so much as her birth name. What we do know is that the heretics speak of Iceheart in reverent tones, and would gladly embrace death rather than betray her.
Cool, so they've got a cult.
Loyalty is rare indeed, and I fear to imagine what so committed a collective might achieve. The brigands have not yet been so brazen as to risk direct confrontation here in Dragonhead. Some few of their number have, however, been sighted not far to the west of here, and with ever-increasing regularity. A visit to Whitebrim Front may bring you the answers you seek. Will you brave the snows, knowing what implacable foes may lie in wait?
Okay, I have the perfect camouflage.
Halone's blessings be upon you. Though I take no pride in the admission, many of mine own countrymen are not so well suited as you adventurers to dealing with such foes. Were they dragons, it might be otherwise.
Not from what we've seen.
But truly, I could not wish for a finer ally. You have done much for my house in the past, and I have no doubt but that I shall have cause to celebrate your deeds again.
How can you stand having your hair down over your eyes like that? I can't stand. My hair is in front of my eyes.
A warm hearth and a warmer welcome shall be waiting for you.
Alright, we're going to Whitebrim Front. This all helps that we can just go over stuff. And as I have observed in the past, the Dark Souls method of just running past stuff you don't want to fight, it works. Okay, what are we looking for? Probably in here. Fuck your stick. Ah, you. Forgot to turn off mounting in here. Man of action need not hundred words. Trail of a band of thieving heretics. By the fury you seem destined to cross paths with these villains. Must confess then, sad truth, wild Terabon have indeed grown thick with their number. Strike swiftly without warning or canny enough to evade our most able trackers. It's not merely their newfound organization that confounds us. The heretics themselves seem somehow changed. I know not what manner of influence this Iceheart wields, but the men we face seem utterly lost in the grip of righteous fever, unsettling and unnatural zeal. It is a cult. Here to question one of the recent victims, as fate would have it, your arrival came moments after a traitor was waylaid on the road. Patrol found the unfortunate fellow lying senseless in the snow, carried him to our infirmary, assuming his regained use of his faculties. The merchant might Recall some small detail that could aid you in the task. It is convenient. Almost too convenient. That's contrivances of plot. Here's the other one. Never remember the other one. Yeah. Context notes, this country is a theocracy. Yeah. Yeah. We did the whole, I mean, we've done a bunch of stuff up here before, we know. I knew. I'm aware. Doesn't mean you can't still have cults. Next thing you know, I was on the ground. Heretics are rifling. Noticed my blurry glaze. Stalked over to better acquaint my head with his maze before darkness claimed me. Distinctly heard the words "return to Snowcloak." Dare say that's where they're hauling my goods. Catch me rushing off in pursuit. Miracle I survived it all. Probably try wearing a helmet. Search the wilds of Snowcloak and defeat any heretics you may encounter. Snowcloak. Gonna lead us into another dungeon, isn't it? Kinda looks like it. No crunches under the tread of heavy boots. How do you do? Loyal heretics. It's good. I wouldn't want them to be disloyal heretics. Stop stunning me, Eric. Oh, look, a fate. Of course, why wouldn't there be one? Right in the middle of where I need to go. Wait, I recognize you. Come seeking heretics, and we share a common purpose. You're on patrol, and we chanced across one of their raiding parties and pursued them here. By rights, we should have them cornered in this ravine, and yet they are gone, vanished. Icy wraiths. Well, they teleported. Like, teleportation is a thing in this universe. Oh no, not a blue mage. Glimpsed a woman atop the cliff. Could it be Iceheart herself come to sneer at our folly? Where did she disappear? The heretics must have discovered a passage through the frozen wall, some hidden tunnel that escaped our notice. Not the men to risk further investigation. Best were we to return to Whiterun Front, lay our suspicions before Lord Dromont. Alright. Go back. There's a lot of back and forth in this. Over here. Over here. Go back. Over here. I would say as much as I don't like, because like World of Warcraft changed their system so that everything is now basically in all the quests start in one place, which is convenient, but it kind of ruins a lot of the immersion factor. But at the same time, it's also really obnoxious to have to keep running over here, and then run 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 over here. So I kind of like, I can see an argument for both styles of it. Menu found, where's some of my finest, best is so handily. Walk with the notion, I ask you put aside your mission and consider the stolen provisions lost to us for now. Ill advised to blunder or prepared into what may be the lair of our enemy. Return to Dragonhead and reform of your discoveries, plan contingencies. Yeah. Like I said, run over here, run over there, run over here, run over there. I guess, I mean, it's not too bad when it's not done, when it's not nonstop, when it's just, you know, every single thing that you do takes 20 minutes to get through, because it's just back and forth. Go here, go over here, here, go over here, here, go over here. That's the stuff that sucks. When it's like a bunch of individual quests that you can kind of like pick up and then go all over and then come back and turn them in, that's fine. Oops. Jump over the table instead of on the table. That's what I actually try to do.
Your return is most timely. Of their own accord, my thoughts had turned to your task and the progress thereof. I confess, my imaginings tended toward the grim and bloody. But you are here now, and I suspect such frivolous wonderings do little justice to the reality of your travails. Tell me, what did you learn of Iceheart?
Nothing.
Indeed. And this transpired at Snowcloak? Of all the highlands, that towering wall has borne the worst of the region's brutal shift in climate. So inhospitable has Snowcloak become that we have still to survey the area in its entirety. Could its frozen heights conceal the heretics' hideaway? Mayhap a more robust reconnaissance effort is in order.
It's kind of what the map hints at with the whole dungeon icon.
Considerations aside, we still know far too little of this Iceheart. That she is capable of commanding such a band of fanatics bespeaks natural authority, and no small measure of charisma.
Or brainwashing.
As much as I would like to fathom this,
Have I done the Crystal Tower quest yet? I have
the
not.
situation has grown beyond my personal purview. I am bound by duty to inform the Temple Knights and request that they bring this matter to its conclusion. Given the glowing reports the new commander has garnered thus far, I am certain that they can be relied upon to take appropriate action. Though Iceheart's true identity yet eludes us, you have provided us with
Somebody mentioned that the Crystal Tower stuff was required to progress. So I figured I'd just keep doing the main quest until we hit the point where you have to go do it, and then do that.
I have already made arrangements for a second shipment to be sent to Revenant Stone.
Especially since this stuff is so
I could not
friggin'
well allow
boring.
such an honorable venture to be undermined by one miserable setback.
Done talking yet? All the way back to Revenant's Hall. We're gonna do more off stream, do that sooner rather than later. Okay, I wasn't really sure. Is it stuff that's not super interesting? Would be good to do off stream. Because if it is, then yeah, I can work my way through that. Frozen West, 410 send us a second shipment. Even as our town grows in prosperity, even greater numbers of those who would villages. Blah blah. Alright, what do we got going on here? Knocked Circlet for Gladiator, Marauder, Paladin, Warrior. Oh, is that Dark Knight and Gunblade? And then this we've got Lancer, Dragoon, and Reaper. And this one's for pugilist, rogue, monk, ninja, samurai. I'm guessing. I have no idea what these three-letter abbreviations are all for, and I'm really bad at abbreviations. There are some interesting bits, but they are time-consuming. Oh, if they're seriously time-consuming, then yeah, I'll do them when I can just sit down and just kind of haul ass through. I guess it doesn't really matter. Grab that one. Preparations to the inaugural ceremony are all completed. It's clusters, taking off your time, rising stone for receptionist. Okay, I think that's a good place as any to stop. So I'm actually a little over on time for today. I gotta go get myself some lunch and see what these phone calls are about. I've gotten 2 of them in the last. So, but I should be back. We're gonna try doing evening streams. Like I said at the beginning, we're going to be moving to a 6 p.m. start time, my time, local time. So, or Central time. Sorry. So you can check on Twitch. I've got the new schedule already put in there, so you can take a look and see what those times look like on your time zone, because Twitch will do that for you, which is nice. As always, if you're not able to attend the streams directly, I do make sure that I upload all of my VODs over to YouTube, so they can be watched very conveniently. If you don't want to do that on YouTube, you can always watch them here as well. But other than that, thank you to everybody for stopping by and hanging out. I always appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have yourselves a good rest of the day and a good weekend. And I will see you for the next video. And as always, remember, don't you dare go hollow.